New Order were massive. Even at discos, their songs were being played. I liked New Order, but New Order were kind of expressionist. Wearing parka, just started playing guitar. I was kind of looking for someone more impressionist. I'd heard that Bernard Sumner and Peter Hook were in a band called Joy Division, and I was up in the swap shop, second-hand record shop, and came across Unknown Pleasures. The computer-generated sonar pulse images, the cover was absolutely endearing. So I got a second-hand copy of Unknown Pleasures vinyl and brought it home, and it was amazing. Control, Shadow Play, and pretty much all the other songs were amazing. And, I was absolutely enthralled by that album. Shortly after, I was listening to the radio and I heard Transmission, and I was like, this is just incredible. So I taped it and I listened to that over and over and over again. It was absolutely magnificent. Roll on a couple of months. Bands would rehearse in the economics room in Douglas Community School. And I arbitrarily walked in, and who was in there? Mel and Gordon, who putative members of Burning Embers, the iconic Cork band, but not yet. But they were there. Now, if I said anything, or sat down, immediately I would have been giving the short shrift right out. I was in second year. These guys were in fifth and sixth year. So I straight away got the guitar, plugged in, and I said, I'd better do something that's going to keep me in this room a little longer. So basically what I did, I started playing Transmission. It's only 2 chords, but immediately Gordon hit the drums, Mel hit the bass, and we played it for 15 minutes non-stop. I did some kind of extemporization on it as well. Then we did Shadow Play, and then we played Control. So the first band rehearsal I ever had, was 3 Joy Division songs: Transmission, Control, and Shadow Play. We went on to play a concert shortly after, my first concert. And then I basically went and formed a band with Gavin Hennessy. The first 3 songs that I played with Gavin Hennessy: Transmission, Control, and Shadow Play. Again, 3 Joy Division songs. Shortly, a little while after that, I had my own band, a bit of my own band, a kind of a post-punk band with a former member of the Sultans and Grunts. And one of her biggest influences was Joy Division. Now, I'd like to say that Joy Division covers were not staples for bands. Most of the bands in that era were kind of playing U2 covers, and maybe Blister on the Moon and all these kind of songs, but no, I can't recall any band playing Joy Division numbers. The next thing is, I mentioned that before I had done that rehearsal, the only thing I ever done musically interacting with somebody else was a friend of mine had 3 keyboards, one with a drum machine, and I'd go over to his house and he had 3 Casios, and we'd kind of basically, tease out some melodies, but basically mainly kind of Gary Newman type things. I'd kind of flesh out a bit of a melody, he'd play a bit of bass, and vice versa, and we'd have the drum machine going, and that was it. And ironically, not too long before I had my first rehearsal with Mel and Gordon, Joy Division were asked, what is the future of music? And basically they said, Ian Curtis as well, that the future of music is Gary Newman. And the thing is, not too long after that, Peter Hook and Bernard Sumner formed New Order and went down the electronic music path. Thank you very much for listening.